Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paula's Soapbox Live. You know my guest tonight from the web series Classic Alice and Social Medium. Just this week, she released, or re-released, I should say, her short film, The Concession, on YouTube, so you can find it there. Please welcome back to the show, Kate Hackett.
Hi.
Hey, thank you for coming.
I should add a little here. I didn't think to do this, but I'll put my website in my name.
There you go.
Aww,
yeah.
So fancy.
I'm glad that it worked because the last couple of interviews that I've had, wouldn't even work for me. So I'm glad that you were able to get that up there.
I don't know why it doesn't just remember what I told it to do, but that's
right.
You have to re-enter it every time.
You have to re-enter it, and then most of the time you have to turn it off and then on. But
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Anyway, so the last time that we talked, Classic Alice was just about to air I think the last episode of the last couple of episodes. So it's done. It's officially over with, which is sad. But I think it's sad.
I'm like happy to move on.
Yeah.
You know, you just do the same thing over and over and over, and you're like, oh, next thing.
Yeah. Well, it was obviously a web series that you put a lot of work into, so you're having to, when you're doing something with books, then there's this whole thing where you got to make sure that you've got everything laid out right, and
so, actually, I was always a little bit worried that someone would be like, that wasn't really what they meant in the book, and it never really happened. Like, I never got called out on, like, book discrepancies, and so that was maybe because some of it was original and some of it was book, and it was like this weird mix, but like I never had someone say, I don't think that's what the author meant by blah 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 blah. So
that's good. That's good that you didn't have any like trolls that just did that just to be mean. So
I don't think it would do it just to be mean. I think it would have been our audience is very smart, and I think they like to discuss and dissect, and you know, that I was always a little worried that was going to be a thing that they wanted to like pull apart, and I was like, don't, just, it's good. It's just love it. Just love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the time that we talked about, I guess it was about 6 months ago or so, you were going to work on an app for Classic Alice, but that's not happening anymore, right?
No, it fell apart, as things often seem to do. The guys developing it had some internal like changes, and it wound up just not working out, and that sucks because it was really cool. Like, I got to play with it, and it was really cool, and it just didn't pan out the way that they had wanted it, and how ultimately I had wanted it. So we decided, like, let's just let it live on YouTube and in the format that it's in, and maybe someday we can come back to it. But it's also a tough sell, like asking, yeah, it looks really cool and it's all in one awesome spot, but, you know, it's a lot of money to come in, and then you have to like slowly dole it out to pay for the app to be on the App Store. So like if people bought it, they would own it forever, but I would also always be paying to keep it in their iPhone. So like it just didn't totally make sense. But maybe someday like that can pop back up again. But yes.
But it's still on YouTube and people know where to find it.
It's still there. It's still the channel name changed. It's now Kate Hackett Productions, but it's still the same content, the same stuff. And now Alice used to respond, or me as Alice used to respond to people in the comments. And so when I changed the name, it's just me, and now it looks weird because it's like it looks like I don't understand that my characters aren't real.
Right.
But yeah, it's still up, and I don't know if it would go anywhere else. I probably not. I think it's probably there to stay. So I know a lot of people were like, "Is she taking it down?" And no.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know that there's I'm sure still people who have yet to discover it. So it's good that you're keeping it up, so that they can discover it and watch it from beginning to end. You know, and then
I'm kind of interested. I hope someone contacts me and says like, I binged it, because I'm so fascinated. Like, what was that like? Because that's so much of my face, And
Yeah, and then you've got all of the confessionals
yeah,
and the behind the scenes stuff.
yeah.
And I noticed that you released bloopers too.
So I made bloopers and like this making of feature. The bloopers were obviously sillier and more fun, but we had a lot of those and just a lot of back stuff, like things that we were holding maybe for the app, and just it's all out there now, so you can go immerse as much as you want.
Yeah, a lot of footage, and then you did like a small spin-off.
For Kara, yeah.
For Kara, yeah, for the Kara character.
And I actually didn't write that one. That was Alexandra Edwards, who was on Lizzie Bennett. She wrote that for us, and it was great. It was like super fun to have the resources and the ability to go and make an extra thing for this character that everybody loves and give her more depth and fill out her world a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And he directed that spin-off too.
I did. I mean, if it's loosely calling it directing, because like, you set up the camera. There's not a lot. You're getting performances, but that's it. There's no like, let's use the lighting to create this mood. Like, it is what it is. So maybe someday I'll direct something a little bit more complex and thoughtful. But this was a very simple, like, okay, go.
Yeah. Well, you did Social Medium also.
Yeah, you just had Paula and Tara.
Yeah. I asked Tara the other day if she was gonna do another season of Social Medium, and she's still not sure if she's gonna do another Social Medium. You know how it works, obviously.
It's tough. It's tough to. I was actually just before we started, I texted my helper friend Kate, and I was like, what if we did a crowdfunder? And she was like, no, please stop. So it's really hard to figure out a way to like get these things made, but you want to do them because it's a great way to keep in touch with your fans, and you want to do them because it's a great way to like put yourself in something, and it's all these great, wonderful benefits. But then you're like, wait, but I can't spend $6 million a year or whatever. Like, so it's tricky. It's really hard, and you really want to do it, and people are always asking you, like, is there another season? And you're like, poor now. So
were you hoping to like help with the crowdfunding for Social Medium, or was this for something else you were
Oh
gonna
no,
do?
this would have been for something else. I mean, if she needs help, I'm always happy to, but this would have been for stuff on my channel. Like, I'm trying to make sure that I have something every week, and at a certain point you just sort of run out of material, and right now I'm trying to make sure that I have a couple of shorts for the end of the year, so, or a small series or something for the end of the year, because I think our schedule ends in November. So that's what that would be for in the event that I do it. You heard it here first. I'm gonna ask for your money. It sucks. It's the worst. We all hate it. You all hate it. Everybody hates it, but it's the only way to do it.
Well, you're already established. People know who you are. You're coming off of this momentum from Classic Alice, so you kind of have an edge, I would think, in getting people.
I would definitely. It would not be nearly as huge a campaign as the Classic Alice one would be. Anything I do at this point would hopefully be much smaller scale. So there's that.
So you're doing the Patreon thing too, right?
Yeah, I'm on Patreon.
Yeah. So explain to people what that is, because I think that's still kind of a new concept to most people.
I think it is. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but I'll put that link in here too.
Okay.
So Patreon is kind of like, I guess, a tip thing. So if you watch my shows and you're like, oh, this is great, I want to see more from her, you can chip in like $1, anywhere up to $100, however much you really want per month. And that money helps me pay for future videos or vlogs or whatever. Like, we have little goals set as well, but it is basically another kind of crowdfunder. It's ongoing as well. And what it gets you, in addition to obviously new videos, it gets you more access to me. Like it's very hard to reply to everybody on Twitter or on Tumblr or whatever. And Tumblr I'm terrible at. I'm like, oh, did somebody? I don't even know. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But it
I
gets
can relate to that.
more about it. It's the weirdest platform, and they constantly
It
keep
is.
make it worse, and I hate it. But so it gives you a little way to contact me and to see things and hear things on a more individual, smaller scale. Like I have a Twitter account that's just for Patreons, and I have the updates that are just for patrons and stuff like that. And it's, I don't know. I hate saying like you're paying for access, but yes, you're paying to see a little bit more of the stuff that I do when I'm not like, here's a new video.
Yeah.
But all in all, it really, what it does is it helps me pay for those videos and be able to continue to give you guys something instead of just kind of like going dark and being like, all right, well, that was it. I'll see you later.
Right. Yeah, and you're, like you said, you're paying. People will pay to see more content from you. It's not like
so. I hope so. I think there's this myth surrounding YouTube that we're like raking in money from ads, and let me tell you, lady, we are not.
No.
And anything helps. Like if you want to pay $1 so that you can turn your ad block on and watch my stuff, that's fine. Great. Anything helps. It's very hard to constantly make new theater quality videos. Like I try to keep the quality up, and that's hard to do.
It's hard to do. Yeah, it is. It's hard to do. And then, it's not like you're asking for money for people to give to you personally. They're not paying for gas for your car. This is for content that they can enjoy. So
yeah, and they're also paying for me to pay other people. So it's the same. I mean, it's the exact same thing as the Indiegogo, where I was like, no, guys, this is going to all of these people. So
anyway. Yeah, I think there's still a misconception with, oh, okay, well, you're doing this show, then you must have tons of money and everyone gets paid, and that's just not how it is with web series.
I wish that's how it worked.
Yeah, it's still a fairly new format, and I think people are still trying to figure out, how to make any money at it, because most people do it for free. So,
and I don't mind doing it kind of at cost. I really don't. Like this is a great way for me as an actor to practice, and for me as an actor to put myself in things that I might not get cast as, or just like get out there and show like, hey, I did this thing, look at it go. It's awesome for that.
Right.
But it's also like, I don't want to lose a ton of money doing it. And that's the deal. That's all. Yeah.
Well, and it costs money to bring people into your projects too. Yeah. So there's that whole thing. I think that's still, people still don't really understand that aspect of it.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't mean to discourage people in school from making videos at all. I think that's great. And having a platform to release them is awesome. But if you're just if you're a group of friends making videos, it's very different from what, like, I can't just be like, hey guys, you wanna make something? People are like, no, dude, I gotta eat. And I'm like, well, yeah, fine.
And everyone has their own schedule, and have like actual jobs that they have to.
And because it's an families. Town, the whole industry, the whole town, like, circles on this industry. Like, you can't rent a studio for nothing. You can't, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So that's all. That's all that the Patreon is really there for. That's all I wanted it to be there for. And so hopefully people find it and they're like, oh yeah, I can do that like once a month. And,
once a month, and you can donate as little as $1 a month. So you need to do like a public service announcement, like donate as little as $1 a month too.
It's a cool little like platform, and I hope I made it fun. Mary Kate Wiles is also on it, and David Cater worked with her on hers, and he worked with me on mine, and so we have a lot of kind of like similar-ish. I stole her. No, it's just like there's only so much you can do, but we have some similar kind of things, and she has some great ideas on hers. She's good at it. I'm not so good at it.
Well, I noticed that you have been shooting a new web series. So is this the one that you're working on with Chris O'Brien?
Yeah, that one's all shot. It's being edited now, but it doesn't have a title. That's something my patrons are going to pick with me, is a title. Ooh. Because I can't come up with one, and I figure they're good guinea pigs for like, oh, I would watch that. Yeah. So it doesn't have a title, but it's about two friends who share the same birthday. And they have for several years thrown their own birthday parties, and it's screwing up their friends. So like their friends will all go to one and then leave early and go to the other, or they'll split or whatever. And it's just awful. Like their birthday parties suck. So they decide to throw a joint party together, and their planning process is terrible. The whole thing is like, it's two morons trying to do something together, and it's fun and it's short and it's quick. And it's Chris and me, and Chris is adorable, and I'm a pain in the ass in it. I'm very not Alice. She's like a total slacker, and so it was fun to be like, oh, okay, I'm done with that other character. Yeah. I can be like, really. She's got more Zola, I think, than Alice. Like she's very dry and like quippy. So that was fun to get rid of.
Yeah, and you and Chris seem to work well together. So I
love Chris. Chris lived with my boyfriend and me for like a month or two after Christmas, and when he left, I was like, oh no. I redid my bathrooms. I was so like, oh, I miss Chris.
Yeah. You did that historian thing that was pretty funny, the two of you together.
Which one?
The historian thing. That sketch on Funny or Die.
Oh, yeah. He's great. That's actually, that sketch is in the new series. That's those two characters I just sort of blew out and made bigger.
Oh, okay.
So that will be part of that show.
Oh, okay,
so if you're watching and you're like, I've seen this before, you have seen that before.
Right. Yeah, well, that's cool. I'm glad that it's going to be kind of an extension of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, let's see. And of course, I'm guessing you probably don't know when you're going to release that one too, right?
This one I actually do, because the last episode, and I can't wait for you guys to figure out why, but the last episode of it is November 7th. So it starts airing September 20th.
Wow. Okay, so you've only got a few months for your patrons to come up with a title.
Yeah, get on it, patrons.
Yeah.
I know nothing about this show. I'm like, just pick a title.
Just pick a title.
Yeah, no, so it's soon-ish.
No, so are you writing a feature film now too?
I've played in it. It's a bigger project, so it's like I'll do a little bit and then I'll do something else and I'll do a little bit. But I don't have news about that yet. That's a much longer process.
Right. Well, as I mentioned, you re-released The Concession on Tuesday, which it's so funny and obviously it's so timely. So tell people a little bit about what this is.
It's very short. It's almost like you could go watch it by the time I finish explaining what it is. But it's a guy and a girl. Brendan Bradley is the guy. This was before either of us had done what was he at, Frankenstein or Classic Alice. So this was a couple years ago, and he played my boyfriend, and he breaks up with me. And instead of crying and carrying on or whatever, this girl decides to deliver a concession speech to him, and he is suitably ridiculously confused by it. It's just silly.
It's so funny.
It's actually, some of the speech is actually from concession speeches of presidents who lost their re-election or candidates or whatever. So this real concession speeches peppered throughout there. There's a Nixon one. There's a Stephen Douglas. There's a Kennedy. There are like a bunch of very famous ones scattered throughout, and it always like no one ever picks up on it, and I'm always like, oh come on, this is so dorky. But it's
it's so funny, and you released it on the day of the California primary, so
it was supposed to be the end of the primary season, but we're still going. So
yeah. Well, it's very timely and very funny. I hope everyone heads on over to YouTube after this is over with.
It's one of my favorites. Like that one, I can't watch myself in things like over and over again, but that one I can watch over and over again because it's so ridiculous. And
his reaction to your speech is just
faces are great. He's just like,
"There's no one here." It's so funny though.
Yeah. I know he's the Staples guy, and like,
yeah,
he's all over the place.
Well, you're gonna be re-releasing your short film. I guess you call it a film, maybe a sketch.
It's a sketch.
A special message for America's teens.
Yes, that one's next week, and that one is actually Kyle Walters is in that one.
Yeah.
Again, before we did any of the Pemberley stuff, so this is like. Weirdly, not weirdly. I mean, it's great. Like everybody you're working with pops back up. And Ferris, who is a Vine star, is also in it. This was before that too.
Yeah.
So that one is. I don't want to give away the like punchline, but a group of concerned citizens speak to America's teenagers about drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a serious thing. It's not a serious PSA. So
not at all. It's not real. It's very dumb.
Yeah, and I was watching it last night because I had not seen that one yet. I don't know how I missed it, but I had not seen it yet, and I was watching it last night, and I was seriously laughing out loud because the concept was just so funny, and then. Everyone's I don't want to give too much away. Everyone needs to watch it when it's released next week on YouTube.
It's great. I love it. Comedic actors who can play things just dead straight are my favorite. And everybody in the video is just like total straight.
Well, those are the best ones. Yeah. I mean, because it was really funny. So what day are you releasing it? Next Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesdays seem to be my day, so that's when new videos come out. Okay,
well that's cool. And then you're going to release the Kate and Joe Just Want to Have Sex.
Yeah,
the week after.
That one is about two characters who are dating. They're together and in an adult relationship. Sometimes you're like, yeah, we should bone, and then like you get distracted. So it's about that. It's very silly. My mother hates it, but it's very touching. There's like not really any nudity. I think I'm in a bra.
Yeah.
It's PG-13 at worst. But it's very goofy, and I agonize like, when do I release this? Because I didn't want like classic Alice audience to be like, what is this? So I buffered it with like Kyle and Brendan. And then after that one is the Chris O'Brien.
Wow. Okay. So Kate and Joe, are you going to release every episode week after next at once? I mean,
no, it's weekly.
It's weekly. Okay. Yeah. It's really funny too. I mean, and Kate and Joe are obviously very easily distracted. It does not take much. So. I don't really think that they want to have sex because they're so easily distracted.
I don't know. You start making out with someone, you're like, I think I'm getting a headache, or the cat just walked in, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen this video on YouTube?
These are things that happen, right?
Sure, they happen to everyone.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness. And you wrote The Concession, and you wrote Kate and Joe, right?
Yes, I did not write the special message for America's teens. That was it's been a long time. I'm really sorry. I think that was Mark Kozin, who's a friend of mine. I think he was the one who wrote it. I don't know if it got farmed out. But it's also very funny, and even though I didn't write it, I still think it's very good.
Yeah. So how did you become involved in that one, by the way, since you didn't write
I produced it. So I guess I must have like been texting Mark and just been like, dude, what if we did this thing? And he came up with concept, and off it went. I mean, it's been a long time, so I apologize if I'm like just making things up now.
Yeah, I think it was like 2012, 2011, something like that. Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, and I noticed that you've revamped your YouTube channel, and you've sort of told us about what we're going to be able to find on that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That got a big overhaul because I didn't want. It's impossible to move your audience, so I didn't want to lose everybody after Alice ended. So I changed the name. I changed the URL. I changed the look of it and started putting new stuff up on there. And we did the transition where we had bloopers, and then we had making of, and now we're starting to get into the new stuff, or new old stuff, new for hopefully most people on that channel.
Yeah.
We did see, I mean, unfortunately, we did see a bit of a drop after the show ended, which makes sense. Like, of course, you know, people are like, I didn't sign up for Kate Hackett Productions. What is this garbage? But I hope it like continues to build, and people are like, oh, this person makes things that I am interested in watching. And if it does not, then I'm making things that I'm interested in watching. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, you make a lot of good stuff. I mean, you know, besides Classic Alice and social media, and these shorts that you've done and that you've written, they're so funny. So I hope that people will take the time to actually sit down and watch them. And they're short. You know, there's a reason they're called short.
That's why they're,
yeah. Of course. So your new YouTube URL, is it youtube.com/Kate Hackett or Kate Hackett Productions?
It's just Kate Hackett.
Kate Hackett, okay. Want to make sure that people know where to find you. And I noticed that you had a new commercial up on the Verizon digital media website. Yeah, that's very cool.
The most difficult dialogue, like, so
yeah.
I got this audition, and I wish I had kept it. Page, another page, like 2 full pages of just me talking, because that's it. That's the commercial. And so I had all this dialogue, and I got it, and I printed it, and I looked at it, and I was like, I'm going to book because of Classic Alice, because that's all I did on that show was sit and talk at camera.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm good at it now.
Yeah.
And I was, like, I'm super over the moon that I got it. It was great. I got to work with an ostrich. Everybody there is amazing, but I got it, and I was like, oh, no. This is going to be so much work.
Yeah.
But, so I got the audition, and I was like, oh, man. And then I got the call back, and I was like, oh, man. And it was, again, like, oh, man, meaning just, like, this is hard to do. Not in a negative way, just this is hard to do. And it was. The terms, it's a very technical commercial, like.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I knew a little bit, because my parents' jobs involve some of the stuff that is in there. So, like, that helped me. But some of them, I was like, I don't really know what that is. I understand, I guess, what you're talking about, but I don't specifically know what you're.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was right before the holidays, so I could go home and be like, guys, I just booked a commercial and shot it, la la la.
Right. It made the family reunions better, I guess.
Yeah. And then the production company has been like super cool, and they like have parties at their place, and they're just great. So yeah, that was fun when it finally came out. Like, it took a long time. So when it finally came out, I was like, yay!
I wondered while I was watching it if you knew what you were saying, because I didn't understand half of the terminology.
I knew some of it. I don't think I knew every single thing, but I like looked it up. But yeah, no, I knew what I was talking about, which I think is probably, for that particular commercial, that's probably why I booked it, was because I knew what I was talking about. And if you're listening, you know if the person knows what they're saying, even if you don't know.
Yeah.
And that was probably part of it. But that was a lot of work. Make no mistake. That commercial was a lot of work.
A lot of memorization.
They had a teleprompter, which was great, but there were moments when I couldn't see the prompter. So like,
so you had to rely on memory.
And then, you know, you're not exercising it at all because the prompter is there. And then you're like, oh shit, do I know this? I've been doing it for 3 days, but do I know it? But they got what they needed. But it was a really, really fun 2 days with an ostrich.
Yeah, and how many people can say that they were in a commercial with an ostrich? I mean, really.
And pigeons.
And pigeons, yeah, carrier pigeons. So,
Yeah, it was cool. And the other actors were fun. And actually, I knew the other girl in it. And it was a good time.
Yeah. And your Kate Hackett Facebook account has been verified since the last time that we talked, so that's really cool. You got the blue check mark.
I like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really me. So that's what that means.
Yeah.
It was kind of a like, oh, I matter, I guess.
So did you just wake up one day and you had the blue check beside your name, or?
I'm sure that I or somebody submitted for it ages ago.
Yeah.
And it just finally came through, that kind of thing, but I don't remember. So yes, for me it was like, oh, hey, look.
Yeah, I'm verified.
But I'm sure that it was like a whole process that I've just forgotten about.
Yeah. Blocked it out of your mind. So, well, anything else that you want to add or plug or anything before we go?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just like, hey, remember me kind of interview.
Yeah.
No,
Well, and just to kind of update people on, what your projects are, and it's kind of important to.
The thing I'd love to use this as a platform for is like getting my Patreon out there. So it's patreon.com/Kate Hackett. If you want to see more, it's really important because it's important to kind of help out with that, because it's hard to consistently get new work out there when I have a day job and that kind of stuff. And then also, if you subscribe to the channel, great, stay there. If you unsubscribe for whatever reason, come back, because even if you don't like a sketch, or if you don't like Kate and Joe just want to have sex, like if that's not your jam, that's cool. I'm with you. I get it. Just wait a couple weeks, because the next thing might be your jam. So definitely keep in the loop that way. And if you you can sign up for newsletter updates, and then I can be like, hey, new show, and you can be like, oh great, I'll come back. But the whole channel is structured so that, like, if you don't enjoy something, or if you think this isn't going to do it for me, you just wait a few weeks and something else will pop up. So it's not like you're locked in forever to Kate and Joe just want to have sex forever.
Yeah, because that's like what, 8 episodes or something.
It's either, I think it's, I don't know. Yes, 8 episodes, and then maybe like 1 or 2 weeks of like BTS stuff.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of the, let me tell you, like some of the Patreon perk level things, like the next one will be the series with Chris, and then after that are some photo shoot things, and then after that there's a level for vlogs every month, so that like I can tell you what's going on, and you can see what an audition might look like or whatever. So you can support to get to that level, or you can just support and get monthly vlogs if you, there's like a tier where I'll send monthly vlogs out. And so it's just cool, and it's a nice way to like keep in touch and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is not content that you're going to be putting out for free. This is like just for patrons.
Right. The vlogs that I'm making now, I make a vlog every month, and those are just for patrons. Nobody else gets them. If we hit, I forget what, like $200 a month or something like that, if we hit that, those vlogs would be public and they would be open to everybody. And because I'm not a vlogger, I'm not very good at it, so I don't really want to do it until I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about at any given moment. I just, as we can see.
Yeah. No, you're good. Well, yeah, so I guess that's it. Well, I did want to ask you, though, if they do another season of Social Medium, do you think that you'll bring Zola back?
Oh, it's not up to me.
Let's put it this way. If Tara asks you back, will you be coming back?
No. I had such a bad time. No, of course, yeah. If Zola's in there, Zola's a tricky character. Zola is kind of the, like, only person with her feet in reality. So she's kind of a weird, like, she's an odd character, but I really loved playing her, and I loved like the episode this week that they just had re-released or I don't whatever. She bashes those cupcakes out of the demon's hand, and that was I forget if the bashing was my idea, but the licking that was my favorite part. Licking the chocolate was my idea.
Yeah, well, you had to do that. I mean, you know.
So funny. Like, objectively speaking, like, even while I was doing it, I was like, I'm a genius. It was so ridiculous that, like, oh, my reaction is to just, okay. Also, I hate icing, so that's acting.
Yeah.
No,
you
but
nailed that.
Of course, I would go back. I would love to know what their plan. Like actors know nothing, so I don't know what the plans are for Zola. I don't know where she's going. I don't know if she's even like has room in the show, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see that one come back because it's another one of my favorites. So it's such a fun show.
It was a fun shoot too. Like super fast. This stuff you move so fast, but we were in like cool locations and like it was awesome. It was a fun time.
Great cast.
I mean, JBI is okay, but everyone else was wonderful.
He's been in a few things, so
he's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
No.
Well, Kate, I appreciate you coming back on.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. Just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, I love having you on here. You're so much fun, and I'm glad that you came back to talk about how you're doing your channel now with the Kate Hackett production. Maybe that kind of clears some things up for people who weren't quite sure what Kate Hackett production is.
I should have done this before.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, you come back anytime.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Say hi to your new doggy for me.
She's asleep right now. So.
Oh.
I'm not gonna wake her.
Well, it's not a cat in the background, so.
Oh, can you?
A minute ago, when you swiveled the chair out. Yeah.
He's sleeping.
Slept right through the interview, probably like everyone else who was watching.
Oh man.
Darn. Okay, well, you have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye. All right. Bye-bye.